So moving on into our second round of pools here, we have ezmd versus Super Fighting Me Team Supreme. And you can't see me anymore, but I did just do like some karate chops in the air, because how can you not do some sort of position when you hear a team such as this? So you have Trey, Hayden, Goji, and Tickle making up the roster of Super Fighting Me Team Supreme. This team is also playing in the Ludi season that has just kicked off this week versus ezmd, and you have very recognizable names on ezmd. And Rissa, we talked about it last night. ezmd has gotten 3rd and 4th in the last 2 seasons of SendouQ. So in season 8, they got 4th. In season 9, they got 3rd. And as we have talked about, that a lot of the main competitions that we've seen in previous SendouQs are not playing today. Presumably, ezmd will get 2nd or 1st place. They are projected to be in 2nd place. They are the 2nd seed in this tournament. And with no Moonlights, FT Wins, Starbursts of the world standing in their way, presumably this could be something that is very achievable to them, with Super Fighting Me Team Supreme being all +2 players, and they are in the 6th seed for the tournament today.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, ezmd 2nd seed. So going into this, they definitely must have done their work throughout this SendouQ season to be able to get to that 2nd seed. And yeah, I don't know. A lot of notable players, like you said, and we talked about last night on the pre-show. So a lot of players that we're very familiar with, and we know that they're really strong players. So if they are on their game today, definitely they could not only get that 2nd seed, get that 2nd place, but also maybe have a fight for that 1st place.
They definitely are going to have to put up a really good argument with PXG if they want to try to force themselves into the top 4 area here. But for now, we're going to be playing round 2 of pools. We're not there just yet. You have Trey classically on the 52, Goji bringing out that Gigantor tent as it were, and Yoshel actually on the side of Super Fighting Me Team Supreme, playing on the oh no, I mixed it up. ezmd is the one with the E-Leader. Okay, I was like, hold on, I switched my colors here. But you do still have the Snipe Rider with Hayden playing around as well, so you have good supportive weapons on either side. But you have and the cooler for ezmd is going to be coming out from the NZAP. So you have a lot more mobile support weapon versus the Snipe Rider, which is a little bit more in one place, not as nomadic as the NZAP can be. But so far, so good for Super Fighting Me Team Supreme. I feel like I'm gonna call it the Me Team. We're gonna call it Me Team, or Supreme or something. We're gonna have to try to think of an acronym here for this really long team name that has us with ellipses on the side. But so far, so good for Super Fighting Team. Unless you are ezmd, you're pushing Goji into the side here, rendering that Trizuka a little bit useless, and also maintaining control of the zone.
Yeah, ezmd here, push forward, able to get the zone, push forward past that as well. And I was thinking while you were talking how odd it is that I'm surprised I'm actually seeing a pencil, a Snipe Rider. I feel like I'm so used to seeing E-Leaders recently within the meta. So I'm like, oh wait, there's a pencil. Hayden here on that pencil, obviously playing that support / anchor weapon for their team. So we'll get to see how that plays out against an E-Leader. And E-Leader in particular on this map is really, really good. It can reach all the way over to the other side. So as we're seeing ezmd here get control of the zone, we saw Super Fighting there push forward, start trying to cap the zone, but I mean, with the way that ezmd just kind of stayed back, played around their E-Leader, let the other team come to them, they were able to recap the zone and now continue to count down points on their strong starting score that they have.
Yeah, and I appreciate Phoenix on the back end there, just trying to paint as much as they can to throw out that cooler. And then once the fight, unfortunately, the fight was brought to them by Trey and 8 there, allowing for Goji to have some leeway as well. So now in the spawning area, the entire game is just being played on one side of the map here, as Super Fighting is the ones holding on to the zone, and there's nobody from ezmd that's able to jump over the side and try to break out here. And you have Trey playing all the way forward, but actually utilizing that jump off point more than ezmd was in that moment, opting to take the long way down. 3 members going down and back into the spawn for super fighting, and now ezmd with Kiki his point of view here and blasting over the top of the side there. It seems to me that ezmd had a really great recovery there with trying to get back in.
They really did. They were able to take their time, get the zone, and then not only get the zone, but you can see they're letting the other team start dropping down and almost kind of baiting them into the zone and just getting the picks onto them that way. We see that Super Fighting did use their cooler, so even if they did go down, they are right back into the action. With that Booyah Bomb getting set off as well for Super Fighting, they're able to push in, get that zone. We're seeing Trey here leading the charge with that 52, but 2 members drop down here from ezmd on this right side, so Trey, they're having to regroup, notice where all those members are dropping in, and figure out how to approach that. I mean, it's kind of difficult. Usually you can kind of tell when a team that you're playing against just drops down on one side in particular, but ezmd, they're doing a good job at funneling players both on that left drop and then around that right drop of the map as well. So that's making it a little bit difficult for Super Fighting to figure out how they want to approach that, and they're just constantly scrambled around trying to figure out where the members of ezmd are.
Yeah, it would seem to me too that Yoshell has been pretty present throughout the game thus far, and which is a very major point as someone playing an E-leader, and also that means that Yoshell is doing the right thing. If they aren't going down, or especially allowing Goji with that longer range Trizooka to try to take them out, Yoshell has been playing excellently throughout this game and making sure that they not only stay alive, but they are providing a lot of pressure to make sure that Super Fight is not really finding solid ground. They have to continuously be moving in order to find success here. But trying to take the fight into the center zone, the Stamper player goes down, the NZAP goes down. Yoshell's finding themselves by themselves in no man's land, kind of towards the spawning area there. Kiki able to get a great pick on the corner, and still maintaining control, even with 2 members of ezmd going down. In the neutral zones, the control is still maintained by ezmd and looking like it's going to be a very solid victory here. And not much else left to say about that. There was nobody from Super Fight to try to paint zone as best they could. They were too focused on where ezmd was going to be. And so ezmd is going to be taking that first round.
That was so interesting there at the end when we saw Kiki use the this way, because they noticed someone dropped down from Super Fighting on the right side of the map. And then instead of rushing forward to get that pick onto that member, they actually said this way and then let the other teammates from their team go and get that right side drop. And then Kiki goes around the back side to make sure that they go around and flank. Like that type of, like at this high of a level in Splatoon, that type of, gameplay and like just the knowledge to know to do that is so cool to see, because I would just be like, oh, I'm just going to run towards the person who dropped. So those little things that players do at this level of gameplay in Splatoon, I think is really neat to notice and watch.
I think it's very unique that because this is a Splat Zones only tournament, that the teams have full autonomy to pick what maps that they want to see and what they want to utilize and play against. So you are correct. That is Hammerhead Bridge. That is Mincemeat Metalworks in the map lineup here that has been picked by the teams that you are watching, by the way. This is not the TOs. These maps are picked by the teams themselves. So you will be watching zones with Mincemeat Metalworks and Hammerhead Bridge. If you don't like that, I'm so sorry. You're going to have to find your entertainment elsewhere. But in my mind, that is pretty entertaining. And it just goes to show that there are some tricks up the sleeves of some of these folks that you don't want to miss if they are picking. There's a reason that Mincemeat Metalworks and Hammerhead are on this docket.
Yeah, it's like
to be picked.
It's like, if you don't like it, just be happy you're not playing it, you know? I'm
not watch it though.
Yeah, I'm very happy to watch it. Very glad I'm not playing it. However,
I think that there's something to be said about higher level players picking the less ideal maps and stages that you don't really get to see in normal tournament settings. There's something to be said about that. I mean, and this is for the bluefins of the world out there. These picks are, in fact, for you. These are for you, and there is a reason why that these are on the roster here. But Hammerhead Bridge is where we're going to start off first for the second round here. Not a lot of comp changes coming out from either side, really. Although I believe actually is the stamper picks, I think, are
that was I had the same question in my head. Same exact question in my head. Okay. Same ones. We got confirmation. So sticking with the
same one. So you have Zipcaster versus Crab Tank for those stampers there, which obviously I think 2 great specials for something like Hammerhead Bridge. There's a lot of different surfaces to make contact with. There's also a couple higher points in a very linear map, if you will. There's places to hide, but otherwise, like, it's just very long. There's only one direction that you can actually put yourself towards. And so far, Super Fighting is actually the ones that are going to make the most headway here with holding north.
That 10 umbrella in particular that Goji's playing could be really, really useful for them on this map. So since it is able to go down those long corridors of this map, it's going to hopefully be able to help them to get into the zone, to push past the zone and hold space with that. If you are ezmd, that's going to be one of the main things that you're going to be watching for and constantly poking at when you see that 10 shield come out. So right now, quite a bit of a scramble for mid, and I'm almost having PTSD watching this, thinking about playing it, because this is that point where ezmd is right now, where it's like, oh, the zone is right there, but I can't quite grasp it. You really have to figure out how to carefully approach this, but also very quickly approach it as well. Finally, ezmd able to figure out exactly what they needed to do, push forward and get it, and now take down 2 members on Super Fighting. Goji was left there alone in that tent, trying to do what tents do, maybe create some space, maybe create a distraction, but finally was called out as well. ezmd here now pushing forward, acting very aggressively in Super Fighting spawn.
I'm really gonna credit this bout of offense for ezmd to that bubble that Kiki was using, because it was like you said, the zone is right there, but how do we reach it? And as you were saying that, Kiki popped that bubble and everybody forced their resources to the left, and now we're seeing what we're seeing right now, which is Super Fighting trying to break back into the zone and see if they can make headway in the same position that ezmd was in earlier. And sometimes sometimes you get the auto bomb, and sometimes you get the bubble that lets you break back into the zone. I mean, you just never know. But for this moment now, the bubble breaking back into the zone is going to be the key to success. ezmd now taking the lead with a few ticks left to go. Nobody in sight. It's just Yoshell kicking it in the center stage there. Now ezmd in a 2-0, putting themselves at match point.
Once they finally got control of the zone, ezmd, it was smooth sailing for them. Almost they had Yoshell there on that E-leader, staying back in the zone. And then if you're an E-leader, you have so much range, you can almost just sit back there and just kind of poke at whoever's approaching you when you're as good as Yoshell and just able to have aim that amazing. And then also you have eyes for the other members of your team, able to call out where members of the other team are dropping, since you're pushed back like that, able to see everything. And I mean, just with the way the rest of the members of ezmd were just playing really aggressively too, they really just solidified their win there on that second game.
100%. And I'm hoping that we spend the full 5 minutes at Mincemeat Metalworks. I hope for my sake and for your sake of those people that are watching, I hope we spend our full 5 minutes here and then some watching Mincemeat Metalworks.
I don't know.
It's the presumed last match of the set. But also, it's like, come on, we already know what happens on Hagglefish Market and Barnacle and Dime. We already know what happens there. We're so well versed in it. But I want to talk about Mincemeat Metalworks. We don't get to talk about Mincemeat Metalworks, like, ever.
It's kind of like that last match we watched. It's not a competitive map that we typically get to see played in tournaments. So it's very interesting watching high-level Splatoon players of this caliber approach this map that's not played in competitive a lot. I get what you're saying.
Thank you. Somebody gets me, and it's usually Rissa. It's usually Rissa.
I got you.
That understands why my plight here. And maybe ezmd and Super Fight also have the similar thoughts in their heads as we go into opening statements here. ezmd are the ones immediately going to be taking control. But Goji on the tent here. I mean, one thing about this zone is that it is small, and the tent shield flying away will take up half of it if you let it. which is what happened with Goji there just a few seconds ago, putting Super Fight into the lead and also with specials in tow. All the members of EZMD are just trying to look for a way back in.
EZMD. This is looking very similar to that last match we watched where Super Fighting immediately got the zone. It looked like they were holding on to it fairly well, and then it took EZMD a little bit of time to get back into the zone, but 2 members actually down on EZMD, as we're seeing Yoshell here. Oh, gets a pick onto Hayden, and is also just holding down as much space as they can for their teammates to come back from spawn. Also coolered up as well, so hopefully this will be the push for EZMD to push forward as Kiki there leads the charge, gets a pick, and we see the members of their team dropping in here to help continue to push that space that Kiki is creating.
Yeah, and it seems to me that Hayden keeps getting called out by Yoshell. They were called out on the center point there and not able to hide.
Speaking of
called out again, barely peeking out. The timing of Hayden's peeking does not align with how Yoshell is playing the game right now, because that's happened at least twice. But Goji is going to be here to clean up the mess. Don't you worry. That is Yoshell getting taken out of the game. Goji able to push forward. The Zipcaster, though, is going to cause a little bit of displacement, but not enough, as getting pincered out by Trey there. So Super Fights is only 6 points away from trying to change the lead. They're holding on to the zone here. A little bit of penalty in their way, of course. But EZMD is nowhere to be found on the spawning area. They are all huddled up on the right, the left-hand side near the top, if you're looking from Super Fight's perspective. And you can even see that the Stamper went down to try to take a fight, but the other Stamper is going to actually call them out and push them back up towards the top. But even so, it's like if you extend your resources one way, EZMD is going to take full advantage of the other way, now holding it onto the zone again.
And Super Fighting, they definitely had quite a hold going there, and they were doing a great job at just poking at EZMD, not letting them drop down. But EZMD, they got it together. They eventually got control of the zone, and they are still in the lead with very few penalty points here as they're about to go through them. And now they're in a position once again where they're poking at the snipe area from Super Fighting. This is the area where you drop down from your spawn, and it can get really chaotic if you don't have control of it. So you can see they're constantly just trying to get control of that. They try and use that Booyah Bomb as well to push through and get the zone, and it looks like paired with that Killer Whale, able to at least cap the zone, give 55 penalty points over to EZMD, and still be in the game. It was almost over for Super Fighting there for just a second.
For just a second, but in a blink, they're able to take it back, even if just briefly. Goji's point of view here, trying to chase out Kiki, but if you turn your back, then Phoenix is there to stay. That's a wipeout on the side of Super Fighting Me Team Supreme, and EZMD is looking to hold forward here. There's a lot of yellow paint down in the center stage. There is nowhere to step foot. If you are Super Fight, you have to try to utilize all the resources you can. Looking to try to see if maybe the left side is going to be favorable here. But again, if you have somebody like Yoshell that is able to play the distance, you have to rely on Goji to be using that Trizuka to take them out. That's 3 members of EZMD down as we round the corner into the last minute of the game here. Super Fighting Me Team, in order to stay in, they just got to be holding their defense as strong as they've ever had.
They really do. This is like the make or break moment for them if they want to stay in this match against EZMD. You can see they're knowing that they don't want to approach too much because they don't want to accidentally have members go down. This Booyah Bomb here, great use of that Booyah Bomb to use as a big wall against the zone as members of EZMD are trying to come in and get the zone. It looks like EZMD went around that Booyah Bomb, recognized that that was happening, and just completely flanked around that and got the zone with that. So great, like, just the gameplay and the knowledge to recognize, hey, they're going to use this Booyah Bomb right on our drop. Let's just go around that. Worked out great for them, and it was so close for Super Fighting there. They were so close to getting the lead.
Yeah, to me, it's the one that's been leading the charge for this a lot of the time has been Kiki. It's really been Kiki being like, all right, I'm gonna go this way if you're gonna go that way. I'm gonna use my bubble here if we can't reach the hammerhead zone. I'm gonna use bubble here to extend our reach and get us a little bit further out, and so on and so forth. And EZMD is going to be the victors in this set, a 3-0 win, moving on into round 3. We already were saying it before. They are seeded number 2 for a reason, and that was shown pretty prevalently here, I would say.
I would agree. Absolutely. Getting a 3-0 over Super Fighting. Super Fighting definitely, especially there, like at the end. I was going to say they had moments where they were seeming like they were figuring out how to approach ezmd, but ezmd was able to just quick counter that and just, they almost thought ahead of time. We know how they're going to counter us. So us as ezmd, let's just do the opposite of that, because we can just having the foresight to know that what's going to happen, I think is really awesome to see at this high level in Splatoon, because I as a player would not have that type of foresight. I'd be like, oh, let me just drop into the booyah bomb, you know?
Well, I think the other thing of note is that on the side of Super Fighting Me Team Supreme,
there it is.
They have a couple of players on that team that this is their first time being in the top 12 for the SendouQ finals. This is their first time being on this side of the competition. And so with it being your first time over here, you know, you have to assess the risk. You have to be like, okay, this is kind of what we could anticipate from something like this. And maybe zones on Mincemeat Metalworks was not one of those things. Maybe it was kind of like we have to put a lot of our practice into stages that we don't really get to play as often, or that we don't really have as much familiarity with in a competitive sense. But then you have people like ezmd that have been doing this for a little while. And they already know kind of how to handle that game pressure and what to do. But that being said, ezmd is the winners of the round 2 matchup that we got to watch. But moving on